Welcome into Factfinder Investigates. I'm Dylan Domingue. This week will mark 1 year since the tragedy involving Flight 5342. 67 lives were lost when an Army helicopter collided midair with an American Airlines flight over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. This week, 12 News will be in D.C. as the National Transportation Safety Board is scheduled to release their probable cause into the crash, as well as give more safety recommendations that they want to see implemented. Ahead of that meeting, I took a look back at the events that unfolded that day. Wednesday, January 29th, was supposed to be an ordinary day for travelers at Eisenhower Airport. 64 passengers and crew members boarded American Airlines Flight 5342, a scheduled flight from Wichita to Washington, D.C. Among those on board were educators, advocates, parents. Nearly half the plane consisted of those from the figure skating community who were in town for the U.S. Championships. The destination was D.C. Reagan National Airport was in sight. The plane just seconds away from landing.
Pass 25, this is CRJ in sight. Pass 25, pass bond is CRJ.
But a military helicopter on a training mission flew in the direct path of the descending plane.
Crash. This is alert 3. Crash. This is alert 3.
A mid-air collision.
Towers reporting a CRJ and a helicopter crash into the Potomac River.
Despite efforts from air traffic control to separate the two aircraft, both plummeted into the frigid Potomac River.
Mass casualty alarm. Runway 33 DCA.
We're all listening right now.
The sound of first responders echoing off the river, searching for any signs of survivors.
We have been told that there are no survivors.
We will not rest until we have answers.
67 people were killed.
There's just a hole in our family that will never be filled.
In the months that have followed, investigators have worked countless hours to answer the question, how did this happen?
It doesn't surprise me at all that virtually everybody in accident investigation at the NTSB has touched this accident.
The National Transportation Safety Board found the helicopter was flying above the maximum altitude designated for Route 4 over the river and was not using technology that would have transmitted the aircraft's location.
Should the local controller have let the PSA crew know that there was a helicopter there?
Yes.
However, the NTSB found alarming stats that show near misses were regular occurrences between planes and helicopters. Since 2021 in the airspace, there have been 85 close calls.
Everybody in FAA in the tower was saying there was a problem, but you guys are pointing out, welp, our bureaucratic process, somebody should have brought it up at some other symposium. Are you kidding me? 67 people are dead. How do you explain that?
But no voice has been louder than the families of those killed in the crash, advocating for permanent safety measures, calling on Congress to require tighter restrictions around military flights and for location technology to be installed and turned on.
We expect better, and people deserve better. Safety must come first. We ask for thoughtful, evidence-based improvements that honor the memory of those we lost and protect every family that flies.
Now, within months after the crash, the NTSB asked for Route 4, that's the route the helicopter was flying all that night, to be removed near the airport as it would cross flight paths with planes. We spoke with a former NTSB board member who expects the board to expand and enhance those recommendations made so far. He also wants to see a reduction of air traffic in the D.C. airspace, so close calls are not a common occurrence.
What pains me the most is the human failures that went unaddressed by the people who had the responsibility for correcting those human errors.
Now, back in December, the U.S. government took some responsibility for that crash. In court documents filed in response to lawsuits from the families of those killed, the government said the helicopter pilots failed to maintain vigilance to see and avoid other aircraft, and that failure was the cause of the collision. The documents also make a similar claim to the pilots on the plane that failed to avoid the helicopter. Now, our 12 News team will have full coverage all week from D.C., online and on air, as we share the stories of Flight 5342 1 year later. We are learning the latest in Wichita's water treatment plant saga this week. The contractors working on the new plant addressed the city council. As Brock Wilson reports, the group is reiterating their commitment to completing a water treatment plant that the city is satisfied with.
There's no benefit for us to have a project that you're not happy with and it is not successful.
Burns and McDonald Senior Vice President Ron Coker explaining to Wichita City Council members his company has been working with the city for over 100 years.
We notified the city shortly after we had the first delay related to the clarifier, saying, "Don't worry, we'll pay for the chemicals and the power as part of that," and then we've escalated that as we've gone forward.
Wichita Mayor Lily Wu raised a number of concerns at the meeting.
It's been a long overdue presentation that I think that the community deserved to hear.
But was satisfied to hear from Wichita Water Partners.
I'm glad that there's now a process in place where they will be coming every month to provide an update on the water treatment plant until the city takes ownership of this water treatment plant.
Water Partners providing an updated timeline for repairs on the broken clarifiers.
Gary had mentioned that, we may not, it's going to be sometime in the next year, or this year now, before we get those clarifiers. It may be all the way through the year. We actually believe we can do this much faster than that.
How much faster?
Our current plan, if we can make this work, is to do temporary repairs on just one of the clarifiers. We'll start PTA testing again as soon as the first two are repaired, so as early as May.
But as far as a projected date for the plant to open, that's still to be determined.
Recognize that this feels really long, but it's likely not what you would see if you were in an operational facility.
Now, the City Council did take some action approving an amended contract with its site representative worth over $750,000 because of the delayed timeline. However, Wichita Water Partners says it is committed to covering all additional costs associated with the plant's delay. A preliminary autopsy revealing the cause of death for a man whose body was found at Lake Afton earlier this month. The Central County Sheriff's Office says Ian Shelton died by drowning. The coroner ruling that death an accident. Shelton went missing back from the lake on December 3rd. A person at Lake Afton found his body in the lake earlier this month. Full toxicology results are pending. Protests are happening across the nation as high school students push back against immigration enforcement. Wichita is one of several locations where dozens of students walked out to make their voices heard. The walkout highlighting a growing movement of people protesting ICE raids across the U.S. with tensions especially flared with their presence in Minnesota and the death of Renee Good. We talked to a lot of students who are vocal about their opposition to ICE and the hope that their presence, their signs, and their voices are heard long after the walkout ends.
It's important for people to know what's going on in the world, to speak up for the things that people are doing wrong.
Kids should be able to go to school without fearing that they're going to come home to their parents in a deportation camp somewhere. People shouldn't be getting deported to third countries they have no relation to.
There's so many people in my school now who are scared of, they don't know when the last time they're going to be able to see their friends or teachers or anything. And I feel like this needs to be heard. Like, people need to see that they're hurting people.
Now, students said that they are also protesting against Wichita Public School District's policy on immigration enforcement, which allows agents on campus as long as they have a warrant issued by a judge. So to come on Factfinder Investigates, a unique opportunity for Wichita doctors who operated on a chimp to help the monkey recover. The story of how doctors prepared for that surgery coming up.